Hello and welcome. This is Chrisanne, and today we are going to be talking about how do you pick out a deck. Let me get my chair here. So you might be curious, are you going to pick a tarot deck? Are you going to pick an oracle deck? How do you know what deck is right for you? So I'm somebody that sells over 400 varieties of cards. I personally own over 550 decks in my personal collection. So one thing you can do is talk to somebody who knows decks, i.e. me. Or the other thing you can do is look at the artwork, look at the theme. What is it speaking to you about the colors, the aesthetic, the meaning? Are the words on the card easy for you to understand? Are they legible for you to be able to understand? There are so many factors that go into a deck on what it is that you want to spend your hard-earned money on. Because let's face it, decks now are going for $25, $35, $45, $75. I've even seen a lot of them that I personally own that are going up to $300 plus for one deck. That's when they're retired. When they retire, they go up and up and up in price. Believe it or not, decks can be a collectible item, just like other things. Once it is stopped being in print, it is no longer accessible. How are you going to get it? You're going to buy it from either somebody like me, who has a large collection of uncirculated, unopened, retired decks, or you're going to buy it off a place like eBay, from somebody that's owned the deck, used it, loved it, or used it, maybe didn't love it, and is ready to pass it on. Let's look at a couple decks that I have here. So I have a collection of a tarot and some other oracle decks that are right here in front of me. So I'm going to start with Angel Kindness cards. Now, this looks like a beautiful deck. It has a lovely cover. It has some information and some artwork on the back. So let's look at this deck. Is this the type of deck that you want to have in your collection? Are you looking for something with writing on the front? Okay, then this might not be the deck for you. But look, there's all that information on the back. Some people don't have a problem having the beautiful imagery and then turning it over and reading the information. Is that you? Does that not bother you to have to turn it over? Lovely imagery. This is called Angel Kindness cards. So there's all different lovely, very sort of folk art imagery of cards. But as you can see, there's very minimal wording here on the front. If that's not what you want, you don't want to flip the card over, okay, then that's not the card for you. If you want to have a deck where you take the card and you put it up on your mirror, on your desk, and use this imagery as your inspiration for the week, and you don't want any other wording to interfere, then this is the card for you. Some people like the imagery to be of inspiration to them for the week. This is a great deck for you if you want that inspiring angel looking down upon you to help you. Now, let's also say you want to pull a card every morning for your inspiration, or a card every night for your inspiration for the next day. This is a great deck to use for that. I have to say it's a little bit of a bummer to use a deck like this where you have to flip it over if you are professionally doing readings with it. It just, time is money, and that flip takes time. So that's my opinion. Do I like this deck? Yeah, I own it. I like it. It's a beautiful deck. It's a nice deck. I like it. I think there's only 52. There's 52 cards within this deck. So it's a decent amount of cards. Let's move on to this one, the Lenormand Oracle Fairy deck. Now, this one is comes with a book, very much like a playing card deck. Once again, beautiful imagery, no words. So, and there's no words on the back on this one either. If you want words, you have to look it up in the book. If that's not something you want, this isn't the deck for you. There's a lot of people that love the Lenormand decks. There's so many different types of Lenormand decks. These have a gloss finish. You can see the reflection here with my light. These have a gloss finish to them. They are a nice size card. They are beautiful imagery. That's the cover art. They're pretty, but if you want something that has words, once again, this is not the deck for you. But if you want that sort of playing card aesthetic, this is absolutely the deck for you. This is the perfect deck for you. And that's what some of the Lenormand ones are really, really good for. Let's go to this fairy deck. This is a Doreen Virtue fairy deck, Healing with the Fairies. She came out with this deck, 20 plus years ago. Let's see, 2001. Yep, 24 years ago, 23 years ago. This, because it's that old, even though it's not that old, it's a Hay House deck. You can see there's a difference in the imagery. It's a lot more simplistic with the illustrations, but yes, it does have words right there on the bottom to make it very easy and accessible for you to be able to use and understand this deck. Something like this, which is an oracle deck. There's 44 cards in this deck. This is a type of oracle deck that has the words on the card. And these are the words that you need to say when you're looking for a deck. Okay, I want an oracle deck that has wording on it. Okay, this might be for you. Very lovely, simplistic illustrations. Nice deck, easy to work with, fun to use, been around a long time. I think this deck is retired, if I'm not mistaken, so it will be a lot more than what you think, because once these go retired, they go up, and up in price. As opposed to, let's look at this deck. It says it's a Teen Angel Oracle card deck. So it says Teen Angel. It is being marketed to teens. I tell people, do not let that scare you away from this deck. Let me change my lighting here. There we go. This is a beautiful, let's move this, comes with a book as well. I forget if there's 40 cards in this deck. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful imagery. Simple word or phrase at the bottom. So this deck is what I would say definitely quite a few steps up when it comes to illustrations in this deck. It is a larger card. Note the size of your hands with the proximity to the size of the card. I have small fingers. Shuffling large cards can be problematic for me. Do you need a smaller card because of the size of your hands? These are things you need to think about. But look at the beautiful imagery. This is not something that I would necessarily say is strictly for teens. This card deck is good for anybody. Don't let that word Teen Angel scare you away from using this deck. I think it is a shame to pigeonhole this deck because it is great for everybody. Now, something else that I want to point out. There are a lot of decks that have a lot of different forms of religion that are present in the deck. You need to know, do you want a Christian-based deck? Do you want a pagan-based deck? Do you want a Wiccan-based deck? Do you want an atheist-based deck? You can find all of that out there, and some decks have simply no religion whatsoever within the deck. this one does have more Catholic-based religion to it. And a lot of the ones that were by her are more Catholic-based religion. So note that if that matters to you. Hey, it may not matter to you. Or do you want an actual tarot deck? Tarot meaning it has the major arcana, it has the minor arcana, it has the 4 suits. What is it that you are looking for? There are no words, so to speak, other than the name of the actual card at this deck. So do you want an oracle deck that has words, or are you adept enough to use a tarot deck that you don't need the words? So you're either going to get an oracle or you're going to get a tarot. Those are the 2 things that you need to decide first. Then you need to decide the theme, the colors, the artwork, the religious affiliations, the size of the cards. These are all things that can be really important. I have created 10 decks, and mine, hopefully, will be published, or at least one of them, will be published, hopefully, by, I'm hoping, the end of 2024. And that might be something you'd be interested shameless plugging, you might be interested in looking at. But I hope this gives you a little bit of ideas on how to approach what can be something a little daunting on how to find a deck. The other thing I suggest is go to my website, elementalenergieswithchrisanne.com. I have a couple hundred tarot decks listed for sale. If there's something that you're looking for and it's not there, chances are I may have it. If it's an older deck, I do have a lot of older decks that aren't necessarily always present on my website. I have a lot more than what is actually on the website. And of course, it's always okay to reach out, ask me a question. You know, I used to have a shop and I was really happy to always have a deck that was open, because mostly they were in my personal private collection, to show people, what does this deck look like? What does this deck feel like? What is the energy within this deck? Does this energy match what you're looking for? Are the words too big? Are the words too small? Are the words not present at all? Those are all things that you need to think about when you are looking for a deck. On my website, I have some examples of a lot of decks, but once again, if there's something you're interested in, it's okay to reach out and get in touch. You can Google decks now. You can see what they all look like. You can see the sizes of them. It's very easy to access decks now, as opposed to what it was 20, 30 years ago. You know, I've been reading with decks for, let's see, almost 50 years, just shy of 50 years. So, yeah, then it was, you looked at the back of the box, and that was all the information you had. Nobody ever had anything open. That was it. You were lucky if you went into a store and there was maybe 2 or 3 decks to pick from. That was it. And it was like rider weight, different sizes of rider weight, and that was it of tarot. It was so limiting and so boring. Now we have possibilities and we have so many options. So don't feel that you're limited. If you haven't found what you're looking for, it's out there. Hold on to that idea of what you have that you're looking for. Don't worry, you'll find it. You'll come across it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope this has been helpful. Take care and be free.